right, let's talk receivers and playmakers. Got Coach Antoine, co-offensive coordinator, wide receivers coach with us. Got Dozie Afadi out of Tyler, Texas, the Rose City, Bishop Gorman High School, 6'1", 185. This kid can fly. Coach Morgan.
East Texas, can't say it
again.
Enough. I mean, another kid out of East Texas, and he, for a quarterback, man, this kid is a dream. Hey, you want to be able to tell a quarterback, throw it as far as you can, and this kid cannot outrun your arm. I don't know if I said that right, but I mean, he can fly.
Yeah.
And the thing you love about this kid when you talk to him and you visit with him on the phone is the parents are so concerned about the education he's getting.
Yes.
And so not only do you want a kid who's being raised the right way like he was and the character is out through the roof, but he was so concerned about getting a great degree, which we can give him here at Lamar University. What do you think about on the field, Coach?
So Dozie, and you're going to see a theme here. Dozie is going to be one of the 4 receivers we signed in this class, and each one of the kids are all multi-sport athletes. Dozie is a great football player, obviously, otherwise we wouldn't have signed him. There's a great play right there, one-hand catch. He's a big target who also plays basketball. So Dozie is one of those guys that we're going to be able to, like Coach said, throw that ball up down the field and he can go get it.
He's a floater, man. I mean, you're going to see him running downfield in a second. He's a strider, and he's got some documented track and 40 times that, it will make you.
Yeah, you can watch this move right here. Long speed guy. You can see he's a 200 guy. Change directions, outrun the defense, and you can look at his frame. If you watch this film, you look at his frame: long arms, long torso, long legs, big, a guy who can run and go make plays for us downfield.
He's playing some wildcat quarterback there. I mean, a guy that really was he was a huge part of the program. Bishop Gorman there in Tyler, Texas. He's a big part of the football program, the basketball program, probably the heart of the school, right? I would guess.
Right, the track program, all Tyler. Is he all Tyler? I think he's all Tyler everything, right?
He is. He was all East Texas, everything you can win, he won. Special kid for me. I coached him in the 6th grade to the 8th grade. Sometimes you hear about coaches talking about he matured. With this kid in 6th grade, when he took off down the field the first time I saw him in the 6th grade PE class, I thought that kid's going to play on Saturdays, and it's going to be really cool that he gets to play with us on Saturdays. Going back to Beast, Texas, Van High School program that Coach Jared Moffitt runs there just produces tough kids that win. Devonte Thomas is no exception. He's a receiver for us, but he's kind of everything on the field for them. He's a 5'11", 190-pound kid. Devonte Thomas, touchdown machine. Coach Morgan, what do you think about Devonte?
Yeah, Van, Texas, right there off I-20.
Yep.
I mean, if you've driven I-20 anywhere from Dallas to Louisiana, you know exactly where Van is, and they've done a fabulous job. I mean, this guy does it all. I mean, again, we keep using the same words, but what you see with him is versatility. I mean, He's in the backfield, he's running fly sweeps, he's got great ball skills, and then you couple that with a 3 high 3 GPA. I mean, he's the total package.
Yep.
What do you think on the field, Coach?
So Devonte does a little bit of everything. You're going to see him in the slot. You'll see him at outside receiver. You'll see him at running back. They'll put him at a little wildcat quarterback. And that's a continuing thing with all these receivers that we've signed here in this class, is that when that kid is trusted that much by his own coaching staff in high school, you're getting a good football player and a guy that you can teach, right? A guy you can put all over the field. You can teach him how to do a number of things, not just be a wide receiver, because his coaches in high school trusted him to be the running back, the quarterback, the wide receiver, the kick returner, punt returner, because that's what Devonte does. He's done all those things. And in a pinch, he can go over there and play defense. So these are the kind of guys that I love at the wide receiver position. These are the kind of guys that we've talked about, that we want in our program, that are multi-sport athletes that can do more things on the field besides their one position.
Yeah, with what we're going to do on offense, he just gives you so much, to play. I mean, you can move him to the backfield, you can put him out in the slot. I mean, there's the sky's the limit for this kid as far as where you can put him and how you can get the ball in his hands.
I hate to interrupt, but there was another one-hand catch. We saw one with Dozie, now we're seeing one with Devonte. One-hand catch, an athlete. catching over a defensive back, being able to go up and get the football.
Ball skills right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when you talk about to the general public about what ball skills you see in a receiver. It's catching the ball and going up with your hands.
Right.
And if you can't do that, that adds another 10. You know, that takes away another 10th. If he's a 4.6, now it becomes a 4.5. You know, because he can reach out and extend and go get the ball.
Yeah, you talk about Devonte, and I'm not the world's greatest at math, but he played in 12 games. He scored 39 touchdowns. I think that's over 3 a game. So anytime you're scoring over 3 touchdowns a game, then the band is playing the fight song the whole game when you touch the ball. So just an electric with the ball in his hands, and like you guys said, he can do a lot of things for us. Absolutely.
And what you want to see is, you know, a guy that's fun to watch. There's another catch, contested catch over his shoulder. 2 in a row, 1 in the end zone, 1 down the field, 1 short. You know, he's doing a lot of things on this field, and he's fun to watch.
Yeah, we'll be fired up about Devonte getting into the golden triangle. You guys would like to come out and watch him play, and we'll put some touchdowns on the board with this guy and many of our other recruits, and look forward to having Devonte come down. Opelousas, Louisiana, Northwest High School product. Keyshawn Lazard, a receiver, 6'1", 175, electric, dynamic, playmaker, whatever word you want to put on him, that's this kid. Coach Morgan, what do you think about Keyshawn?
The most important thing with Keyshawn was his basketball tape. You put on his basketball tape, and he's throwing down a 2-handed dunk, not 1, but 5 or 6 times on open breaks. And now you turn on the football tape, and he's going up, and he's high pointing the ball. The guy plays above the rim.
It's awesome.
And he is a kid, to me, that is just starting to scratch the surface of the potential. Again, offense and defense, plays both sides of the ball. And I mean, his ceiling, is hopefully he reaches it by year 5, but he's got a ton of ceiling now.
Yeah. Now, Coach Antoine, let me bring this up. I read an article that just came out about you. You're Devonte Adams' position coach at Fresno State.
Right.
Devonte Adams, the Green Bay Packers. You talked about how that kind of changed your way of recruiting. Does Keyshawn fit into that?
So Keyshawn is a perfect example of that, and I don't want to put that on him because Devonte is a special athlete and was a special player. But when you see the explosiveness that Keyshawn can play with on a football field and the basketball court, and it's not like it was like, oh, that was good. It was like, wow, And then he does it again, and then he does it again, and you say, okay, I've seen that before, and that was what Devonte did. Is just like that clip right there, snatch the ball off a defensive back's head, the explosion at the line of scrimmage from 0 to 5 yards. Those are the things that I saw with Keyshawn. Really excited to coach Keyshawn. Like I said, I don't want to put Devonte Adams on Keyshawn, but you can see some similarities.
Yeah.
You can see some similarities. An under-recruited guy, a guy that has a ton of athletic ability, and he's just starting to be able to realize it. Look at that explosiveness. From 0 to about 10 yards, he's really, really explosive.
I'm excited to see this kid just get in the weight room and really develop. And just hone his skill set.
Here's another catch, boom, over the defensive back, and that's what you'll see from Keyshawn over and over and over again. And we talk about multi-sport athletes and some of these guys that have a lot of ability. Keyshawn plays basketball, right? He's used to going up and getting the basketball above his head and rebounding, and you can see that show up on the football field. Yeah, very similar with Dozie.
Those kids that play hoops are used to catching the ball with their hands. And the other thing you like, and we won't have any of those highlights, but he plays on defense and he's not afraid to strike you. I love watching those receivers and being a safety and coming up and laying the hand. I mean, those guys aren't afraid to crack on a crack block.
Well,
they're receivers.
I think all my former receivers would be proud, if I said, you can't play for me if you're not a tough guy. You just can't do it. That's not going to happen. So I like to see them play defense as well. I like to see those guys get downhill and strike an offensive player. And then I know they'll go out there and play tough on offense if they can do those things on defense.
Absolutely. Keyshawn's going to make a lot of plays for us. Going to look good in red and black.
Can't wait to get him there.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Canon Grogan, 6'3", 170-pounder from Barbers Hill High School right down the road. A long, explosive athlete, track, football, it shows up. He plays fast. Coach Morgan, what do you see out of Camden?
Well, you look at Barbers Hill and, Coach Westerberg there. I've been recruiting Coach Westerberg for a long time, and he's got one of the most storied, resumes in the state of Texas, being up there at Allen and then coming down to Barbers Hill. So when he calls you about a kid, you trust what he says.
No doubt.
And this kid is one we've had our eyes on for a long time, him being local. And he's just a kid that can go churn up some yardage. And he goes and makes, again, contested plays, and he's a polished, he's been coached really well there at Barbers Hill, so he's going to be very polished. He's going to be very well coached. So you're excited to see that.
What do you think, Coach Antoine? What fires you up about Camden?
Well, the thing that fires me up the most is, one, that he's long, and two, if you're watching this clip, you can see him come off that line of scrimmage, and he looks like a jet. And one thing that no receiver coach can give him, and I can't teach him this, is to be that fast and to be that tall. And so I'm excited about Camden. I'm really excited about him. One of my, and a lot of these guys are from East Texas and from Southeast Texas and from Opelousas in Louisiana, and they feel like my hometown guys because that's all my region from where I'm from. And so I know the football, and it's good football, and I know the coaches, and they're good coaches. And Camden is just very similar to some of the other guys. He is going to really blossom here at Lamar University. He's going to start training. He's thin right now, and he's really fast, and he's going to get stronger, and he's just going to get faster as he puts muscle onto that frame.
Yeah, and again, you talk about multi-sport kids, and a kid that, sophomore year, I think he clocked a 21.9 in the 200. If you don't know about that, anything under 22 is flying. And so to do that as a sophomore, you're excited to see, him get on the track this spring, but really on the football field here at Lamar.
Yeah, and he's got, and obviously he's got some pedigree. Dad is from Southeast Texas as well. Went out and played in the WAC conference, the old WAC conference, as we entered the new WAC conference. And Dad was a fast guy, 4'3" guy. Played for the old Cougars, which was arch enemy to probably both of us.
Oh yeah.
At the time. but
great family though. I mean, you talk.
Yeah,
mom and dad, they're great people. I mean, this kid's been raised the right way, and he, again, kind of don't want to be repetitive, but you love to see a kid that, he's an awesome kid. He's just a great kid.
Smart, fast guys, and that's what I like. Smart, fast guys, and Camden is one of those guys.
Yeah, and his family will be able to come over, enjoy the tailgating scene, just come see him play all the time. We're going to have such a family atmosphere here. Saturdays are going to be awesome. All right, let's talk DBs. We're here with Coach Cordova right here. First one we're going to talk about, Anton Hambrick. All right, he's a 5'11", 175-pound DB out of Forney, Texas, North Forney to be specific. It's Goonville, and it's population 11. That's what we do in North Forney, and I love that. Coach Morgan, what do you think about Antorius?
Yeah, you talk about Coach Jackson. He's a guy that has kind of defined culture. He wrote a book about it, actually. So,
really good one.
And not only that, you see him early in the season, and a couple big wins for the program and making a good run in the playoffs. He's done a phenomenal job there at North Forney. So you feel good about taking a kid like this. I mean, he's in a program that kind of matches the culture we're going to have, and he is a guy that fits our program. He's a kid that we've been recruiting, had been recruiting for a long time, and he fits, and he's a playmaker, and you'll see him on the back half there.
Yeah. Coach Cordova, what do you see in his film that makes you like
Well,
Antorius?
to start off, I love his versatility. Antorius started off playing a little corner, and then he moved into safety. So the ability for him to be able to play corner and safety, or possibly nickel, is very intriguing. And as you can see that last clip, he was playing one of the coverages that we play, playing a little mini, and read the quarterback eyes and was able to make a big play right there.
He's a kid, when you visit with him, like a lot of these kids, he's a kid with a lot of life. I mean, you talk with him, he was excited about being a Lamar Cardinal. He was excited to be here. Once he committed, He never wavered. I mean, that just says something about the character of a kid when they commit somewhere and they never waver about their commitment. You love that about him as a person.
I just got off the phone with Antorius to be exact, and he was talking about when he can come down here and watch us practice, and he knew the exact date in which he thought he was going to be able to come down here and watch us, and he's just ready to go.
Yeah, you talk about Antorius, you're talking about a Dallas Morning News Defensive Player of the Week from the middle of November, where he had a huge game on defense. I know in Coach Jackson's offseason, they put a question mark on the shirt until they earn their right to wear their workout shirt. I think he answers a lot of questions. I bet he got his shirt really early in that system because on and off the field, he's our guy.
And what he's going to bring to the table is leadership. He's going to be a vocal leader, and he communicates extremely well, plays hard, is going to get guys lined up, and that's the type of guys we need in our room.
Yeah, fired up about Antorius.
Very.
Next guy up, Dane Yinch from Grandview, Texas. One of the most highly decorated Texas high school football players. Received a lot of awards in his career, all very well earned. About a 5'11", 200-pound kid. Never came off the field in 4 years. Played quarterback and DB. Coach Morgan, what do you got on Dane?
Dane, you talked to the head coach at Grandview, a guy that, again, has won 2 state championships here in the last 3 years. When he says, this kid is the best kid I have ever coached, then you listen.
Yeah.
You listen to him.
No doubt about it.
A kid that never came off the field. And it's not like they're not running him on offense. He's running the alley as a safety. I mean, this kid does everything. And they played, how many dang games have they played in the last 3 years? They played so many games. He was about to be the winningest quarterback in Texas high school football history. This kid's going to find his way onto the field.
Definitely. One thing that comes to mind with Dane is one of those old sayings, all he does is win, baby. That's all he does. And he plays the game above his shoulders, processes information extremely fast, and he's athletic, has great ball skills, flies to the ball, one of those things on our defense that we preach all the time. And that's something that's just innate with this young man. And he'll be a great addition to our room. And as you can see right here, he's playing a little post safety because he plays the quarterback. He knows the read of the quarterback's indicators and be able to use his instincts to be able to make plays for us, give our offense the ball that more times.
Yeah, I think Coach Gibson talked to one of the opposing coaches they played in the playoffs. One thing he said is athletically, man, this dude plays with our guys. And it was a team that they had a lot of really good, talented football players. And you listen to that. I mean, we love listening to the high school football coaches, and we value their input. I mean, being the son of one myself, I mean, those inputs are invaluable.
Yeah, and same with Dane, son of a Texas high school football coach. He's the only guy in history that's been offensive and defensive MVP of the state championship game. Did it once, did it twice. Wow. So just a really, really impressive young man. And he'll come into our program, make an impact on and off the field. You just love his passion. He just brings it every play. All right, next up, Kerry McMillian, a 6'4", 190-pound DB out of River Ridge, Louisiana, John Curtis High School. What a school that is. Produced a number of college football players through the years. Man, this kid is long. He's going to cover a lot of ground back there. Coach Morgan, what you got on Kerry?
Gosh, how many state championships has JT won over at Curtis High School?
Unbelievable.
What an unbelievable program. And again, another program that just preaches physicality and work ethic and doing things the right way. And we love recruiting those programs. You know that a kid like Kerry is going to come into our program already knowing, or what the expectations are. Kerry's just a rangy kid, and I think he's another one of these kids that the sky's kind of the limit for him, right? I mean, he's a long, lengthy guy that is rangy. He's got good ball skills, and you think the best football for this kid is well ahead of him.
I definitely concur with your synopsis on Kerry. Kerry has great length. Has a huge upside in terms of what he can do. At John Curtis played a lot of cover 3, as you can see right there, playing the post safety and using his ball skills. But Kerry will also be able to play quarters for us and play a number of different coverages and do that thing at a high level. I love the energy in which he plays with. He's a hard worker and a good young man that adds a lot of depth in our room.
Yeah, you get those long kids that got some length to them, you know, and with the defense we're going to play, he can play at a number of different spots, and you know, he can rotate down into the box and play, you know, inverted to the field, and you know, you like a long rangy guy back playing the middle third sometimes and tracking the ball down.
Absolutely, just an impressive athlete. No telling how big he's going to be in 3 years, right? I mean, he's going to be able to come downhill. He's going to be able to get in passing lanes. He'll be someone that comes in and makes a contribution and maybe gives us an element we don't have there in the back end with a guy 6'4". Love the fact that he's going to be coming to Beaumont.
Be hard to throw the ball over his head.
That's right. All right, let's talk about some corners. Demarco Roberts, 5'9", 175 pound, Lido, Texas. He's getting measured for a state championship ring again. Wow. He was the defensive MVP of the state championship game as a junior, offensive MVP as a senior. You kind of get a theme that we got some guys that won a lot of games and made some big plays. We're excited about Demarco. Coach Morgan, what you got on Demarco?
Yeah, Coach Buck, man, there at Lido. Gosh, I mean, there's nobody that's done it any better than this guy. I mean, arguably the best program in the history of Texas high school football. I mean, you can't really overstate that. How many state championships have they won?
I think it's 9. I think they're running out of fingers to put rings on.
Yeah, no doubt. But you when you go on a visit with Coach Buck, you listen. Mm-hmm. You know, a guy that's won that much, and really they've done it in dominating fashion.
Absolutely.
A lot of the regular season games aren't even close. But I mean, let's get to Demarco. You talk about Demarco. I mean, a kid that his junior year has a lot of defensive tape, and then you know you turn on and really a lot of the best coaches put their best player at tailback. Yep. Their best player on the team. And so that's what they did with Demarco this year. They put him at tailback. And you'll see on the clips, I mean, he's got incredible feet, great acceleration, and he's just tough. I mean, he's a blue collar kid. You go into the high school and the coach says, this is a tough, great kid. And you say, we want him. He's our guy.
Yes, he is, and brings that championship culture, which we're looking for in the young men that we're bringing in. Shows ability and quickness off of the ball, great ball skills, and I love the way that he tackles. He's a physical young man.
Yeah, absolutely. Just so many different tools. I mean, there's so many things. He can impact the game on defense. He can impact the game on special teams. You put the ball in his hands. He's special. There's just not many players like him in the state of Texas.
That play right there, that was a big play in a big game right there, and they felt that he can climb the ladder and go get that out of that young man's hands. So
yeah, a guy that plays tailback, you know, he can return kickoffs. You see him blocking a field goal. You see him blocking a punt. You see him playing corner. That's kind of the definition of versatility right there, isn't it?
How many ways can you impact a game? He knows all of them. Demarco Roberts from Aledo, Texas, going to be a great Cardinal.
Oh yeah,
this is a big one.
Dude can scoot a little bit too. He floats. He's a floater.
He can pick him up and put him down.
Yep. Can't wait to get him on campus. Next up, Damien Alexander, cornerback out of New Orleans, Louisiana. Coach Cordova, you got some familiarity with that area, I know. Booker T. Washington High School. Watched him play on ESPN earlier this year, right?
Yes.
And we're excited about Damien. Let's talk Damien Alexander, Coach Morgan.
You know, Damien Alexander, you know, the thing that you watch his tape, and the thing that stands out is, you know, his ball skills. Mm-hmm. I mean, a kid, you love a kid. I love corners. We had one that plays for the Falcons down at San Diego State, and he had such great ball skills. So you see his ball skills and his ability to track the ball, and then, you know, you talk about his family. You know, his mom's a coach. Mm-hmm. So you love getting coaches' kids. You know, I'm biased about that, but I love coaches' kids because, you know, they've been around the gym. They're usually gym rats, and they play multiple sports, and you know, they know how to get coached.
Yes, and Damien is he's one of the fastest kids in New Orleans. A track kid, like you said, his mom's a coach. His coach, dad was a coach, and one of the better coaches in New Orleans. And Damien got these guys to the second round of the playoffs this past year, but like Coach said, and talked about his ball skills. And once he catches the actual ball, Damien is not just content with catching the ball. He wants to take it to the house, as you can see on this first clip here. Right here, he's in press coverage, uses his hands, get off of a potential block, catches the ball, and that's curtains after he gets his hands on, and there's some open space in front of him.
Yeah, not many people. It seems like when he has interceptions, he doesn't get tracked down a whole lot. He's not one of those guys in the media room that, he gets clowned by his boys because he's getting tracked down. When he picks it off. A lot of us were watching this game, on ESPN, and he's covering for most of this game. I think that kid's a power 5 receiver, 6'4" kid, and he played it man-to-man all game.
Yep.
Played him pretty tough and made a bunch of plays on him.
And that's the thing Damien loves to do, is get in your face and play man-to-man coverage and take away the gifts and track the ball and get as many interceptions as he possibly can. And really excited about having this young man in our program.
Yeah, you can just tell it. He loves ball. He loves playing football. Loves competing.
Yes, sir.
Our kind of guy. Hey, let's go back to New Orleans, Louisiana. Warren Easton High School. Ramon Stevens, a 5'10", 165-pound corner. He brings some juice. He brings some juice to the table. Coach Morgan, what about Ramon?
Yeah, I remember going to this high school probably, about 5 years ago and watching these guys practice, and they were physical. They did a great job coaching their kids, and the kids responded. And so I remember very clearly watching his junior tape. And he looked like a little smaller guy, but he just looked like a dude. I was like, we gotta go take this guy. He just seems like he's an absolute go-getter. And he's a type A, and he loves to compete. And you're gonna see that over and over again. You turn on the tape, man, the kid will go and track the ball now.
And one of the things you're gonna find out about Ramon is, look, he played in front of a sold-out crowd, and he always guards the #1 receiver from the opposing team. And this team here is Edna Carr, and he's playing against a P5 guy. And as you can see, he's going to get him one. He knows leverage, knows body position, knows they're in single high coverage right there, so he can play the drop low shoulder on that guy and got him interception and helping his team try to steal a win.
It was fun too. I mean, he's another kid that committed to us pretty early on, and again, this kid committed and decided he wanted to do something a little bit different and never wavered. That's what's so impressive about a couple of these guys, on the defensive backfield. They committed to us early, and man, they were the definition of what committing and being a man of your word, and those guys will be awesome teammates because they're going to hold other guys accountable, and you'll love that about this guy. You get the feeling, when you talk to him, he's a guy that's, he's going to have a high standard for doing things.
And he held his teammates to extreme high standard, and because of that, those guys have been having winning seasons for the last couple seasons and have taken that program to a different level. So that's why I'm extremely excited about Ramon, and happy to have him as a Cardinal. Yeah,
when you talk to him, he's excited to play football. He's excited to do it in a Lamar Cardinal uniform, and that excites us. And that to me is that's what you get fired up about this recruiting class for. Guys that want to come put on the red and black and represent the Golden Triangle, and he's going to make plays. There's no doubt about it.
You like it when the defensive side, man, you like those turnovers.
Yes, sir.
Well, on offense, man, y'all get the ball back to us. We can handle that now.
Absolutely. Ramon Stevens coming to Beaumont. Talk some defensive players. Starts at inside linebacker. We got our defensive coordinator, inside linebacker coach, Coach Matt Weicker, with us here right now. We're talking about Darion Peace out of Malakoff, Texas. He's a 6'1", 210-pound athlete. Coach Driscoll over there at Malakoff has won a lot of games the last few years. This team is tough. They're hard-nosed. They compete. This kid is the total package. Coach Morgan, what do you think about Darion?
He's, again, I'm going to say the next kid is my favorite kid in this recruiting class. But I watch this kid's tape now. He gets you excited.
Yeah.
Because he's a quarterback and he's playing linebacker. And The thing that really jumped off the tape is the way he closed to the football. Because you watch him at quarterback, and he's got a strong arm, and he's skilled, and he's a winner. I mean, he took his team deep into the playoffs this year again. And so, man, this guy gets you excited.
No doubt about it. I think the thing that I love about Darion too is he never comes off the field. I mean, you continue to watch this kid's highlight film, and it's just play after play after play after play. It never stops. And you know, a 5-sport athlete, basketball player, track, baseball, powerlifting, does it all. And you know, you get a chance to FaceTime with him and his family, just salt of the earth people, and mom just, you know, as good as they come. And then you talk to the coaches, you know, you mentioned Coach Driscoll, talk to Coach Watkins, the defense coordinator there as well, and they just can't say enough great things about this young person. So not only a great player, but just the character piece of it, everything checks off. Yeah,
another kid from Beast, Texas, you know, from East. When we say Beast, Texas, it's East Texas, but we've got a niche for recruiting there, and you know, here over the next few years, might be a fourth of our team is going to be from East Texas, and that'll be fun to watch.
Absolutely. When you talk about Beast, Texas, you talk about the Golden Triangle. Football's important. Football matters to this area. Louisiana, we've talked about all of our kids that come from there, and this area. Just, you love being here because people love football. They know it matters. They know it's important. Malakoff, Texas, on a Friday night, the whole town's going to the game. Yep. He's played in some big crowds. He's played in some tough environments, and all the kid's done is win.
Yeah, and you look at a kid like Darion, and then a kid like Dane, and they're playing against each other in the playoffs, and you know, those are two of the best, you know, 4A programs in the entire state. You know, this guy just competes.
Yeah.
You feel like you're playing checkers, you're playing horseshoes out in the backyard. He's going to try to beat you.
Yeah, you're talking about those two. They've matched up 5 times the last couple of years, and now they're going to come to college. Not only be teammates, they're going to be roommates. That's pretty awesome.
Great story.
All right, let's move on. Let's keep talking about inside linebackers, guys that can get downhill and bring it. Jace Williams, 6'2", 210 pounds, Slidell, Louisiana, Slidell High School. Man, this kid is physical. When this kid steps on the field, you know he is going to hit the ball carrier and drive him backwards. Coach Morgan, what do you think about Jace?
You look at his build, you can tell this kid really loves, he lives in the weight room. Mm-hmm. Another kid out of the New Orleans area, which we've recruited very hard and done a great job. And again, you're going to watch different clips, and you go watch his clips on Huddle. You're going to see him inside backer, outside backer, wildcat quarterback. And so he's a very versatile guy. I mean, he can play a lot of different places, and he's pretty explosive athlete.
Right, no doubt about it. I think the biggest thing when you flip on the film, just the size of this kid, and like you said, Coach, the multiple positions that this individual is playing. I mean, just the variety that he could do for us on defense is something that stands out for me as well. And when you have a chance to FaceTime with Jace, I think there's been multiple occasions, and you hit on it, Coach, when I FaceTime with Jace, he's in the gym. He's in the gym working out with his personal trainer. So he spends a ton of time working out. And, Coach Favre over there at Slidell, geez, how many individuals has he put into college programs over the years that he's coached? And this young man came highly recommended from Coach Favre.
Yeah, high motor. I mean, a kid that is going to play hard, and once he fits into a inside backer position, he can lock in. Man, you really think he's going to thrive.
Yeah, I mean, you love those kids that just play both ways. We talked about it before. We talk about it again. Just a kid that loves football. Coaches trust him. He's a competitor. All those things that we're going to build this program with, build this culture with. He embodies all of them.
Yeah, he's one of how many kids that you could fit into a Wildcat package that could, you could put in the backfield on the goal line and carry the football. That's some versatility.
And if you go watch his film, like you said, you'll just, I mean, as many places you could put this kid, there's multiple spots that he could play for us. That's what excites me about him too.
Absolutely, he'll look good in red and black. All right, let's go to Langham Creek High School, Houston, Texas. Adrian Owens, linebacker, 6'2", 220, big, good-looking athlete. his highlight film is fun to watch. Coach Morgan, what do you see out of Adrian?
Yeah, Adrian, you talk to his high school coach, and he's a great student. He's a great kid. You know, you call the high school counselor, and they got nothing but good things to say about him. And then you turn on the tape, and you know he's up there in the Cypress district, and he's playing against really good people. Yeah. And so he's making a ton of plays. He's playing against really good opponents, and he's running sideline to sideline. I mean, the kid's a heck of a player, and he brings the wood now.
Right, and I just think the one thing with Adrian is we kind of got on Adrian late too, and I think it just shows you the talent pool that they have in the great state of Texas. There's a lot of great football players, and happy that we found this guy, just a long, rangy kid, and you continue to watch his highlight film. You can see him in pass coverage as well, able to flip his hips. There's a burst to him. The physicality piece is there. You know, you FaceTime with him, and just a great family. I mean, mom is just as good as they come. And then you talk about talking to Chiefs. I think I talked to 4 different people about this young man and didn't hear anything negative about him. So character-wise, that's there as well.
Yeah, and you talk to the people. Sometimes you talk to the opponents of the guys that they play, and you say, you know, number 8, and if they're like, I don't really remember him, but most of these kids, you talk to an opponent or an opponent's coach, and they're like, yeah, I remember that guy. You know, we were running away from him, and
no doubt.
You know, he's sideline to sideline, and you just love to see the range on this kid.
Right, and just a smart kid too. Gets it done in the classroom as well. I think he's sitting at a 3.3 core, so that excites me as well. Just a young man that's going to be able to thrive in the classroom too.
I think he'll be able to pick up the X's and O's, and be pretty studious, you know, on and off the field.
Right. Yeah, just when we talk about a guy that fits us, we're talking about a guy that excels on the field, but he also takes care of his business off the field. He's a high character young man. Academics are important. You know, for a coach, the most exciting day is game day, but the best day is graduation. This guy's going to get a diploma. He's going to play football. He's going to be an all-conference football player. Right. He's going to make a lot of plays for us.
Yep, yeah, and he's just down the road. That's awesome.
That's awesome. Got Coach Skirka, our quarterbacks coach, here with us. We're going to start by talking about Dalen Williams out of Decaney High School. 5'11", 175-pound quarterback. Whoever came up with the term dual threat, they had this guy in mind. This is a dual threat quarterback. He can hurt you in multiple ways. Coach Morgan, overall, what's your view of Dalen?
You just love, he's the total package. I mean, he's a kid. You know, 4.0 student in the classroom. I mean, you like smart quarterbacks because they're going to be able to absorb a lot as far as the X's and O's. And you know, we like great student athletes in our program. And then you just watch his tape. I mean, the kid is an explosive runner. You know, he plays hoops, and he's a point guard, so he's going to have really good hands. He's going to be able to handle the football. Yeah. And then, you know, he can throw the football down the field. I don't want to take Coach Skirka's spotlight, but he just gets you excited because the way he operates, and they're a playoff team, so he's a winner, and you love that. I think we got 4 or 5 quarterbacks we've signed in this class that are going to play other positions, but quarterbacks, you know, they're the heartbeat of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that stands out about Dalen, like you mentioned, such an athletic kid, but his pocket movement and his poise in the pocket is something that always just struck me as very mature for a kid coming out of high school. And Coach Williams at Decaney, they've done a great job. He's played 3 years for them and thrown for over 4,700 yards, rushed for over 1,000 in his career, really done it all for him. Like you mentioned, basketball kid, offensive district player of the year, district MVP in 2019, just everything there stat-wise, all the accolades are there. Awesome kid, love his personality. Like you mentioned, 4.0 kid, can't ask for anything else. Great family, love getting to know them in the recruiting process. But even for a kid that you might say, oh, he's not the biggest, he can get it down the field. I mean, look at this one right here, 50-yard bomb.
50 yards in the air right there, yeah.
On the mark.
So he's got, and that's the thing I think with quarterbacks is they don't have to be big, thick guys. Now I think he'll mature when he gets here in the weight room and put on a few pounds. But I mean, you don't want this guy to slow down at all. I mean, he is legitimately fast. And again, you can't speak enough about, how well he's been coached in high school, and you just look at his maturity of his movement. That move right there, I mean, that's a great move by a quarterback. And then, he's smart. Hopefully, I was going to say get out of bounds, but he goes and takes it to the house.
He's such a competitive kid. He's going to take it to the house when he can. And one thing to point out is he really had to fight and compete. He came in and won a job as a sophomore for them with a kid above him that's a D1 athlete right now doing big things in college. And he came in and won a job and took it over and has done a great job for him.
I mean, at this level of football in Texas, rarely do you see a sophomore starter. And this kid went in and won a job and never looked back and held it. And he has over 30 games of high school experience, and that's invaluable. And then you talk about another kid they're right down the road. Yeah. We're bringing in guys that are local. Saturday afternoons in Beaumont, Texas are going to be really fun.
This is one kid that fans are going to be really excited to see. I mean, you're gonna really this kid's electric now, and you're going to enjoy watching him.
Absolutely. All right, gonna go talk about some running backs now. RJ Carver, 5'10", 215-pounder out of McKinney High School. When I was a high school coach, I had a defensive coordinator. He'd been around. I'd call him a veteran. Had coached a number of years, and he would tell our kids all the time, listen, guys, you're either the hammer or you're the nail. Well, someone told RJ Carver that when he was a kid, and he decided he'd be the hammer because this guy brings it. He is a load. He's going to be tough to bring down. Coach Morgan, what do you see out of RJ?
I wouldn't be surprised if RJ wore a construction hat
no doubt.
Class. I mean, he's one of those guys that, again, you just think he's going to be some kind of, meathead, just hard-nosed kid, and then you talk to the high school head coach, and he goes fishing with his son.
Yeah.
He's one of those. When you talk to a head coach and the player either babysits his kids or, he says, I'd let this kid date my daughter, then you think this kid's pretty special now. And you turn on the tape, he's as physical as they come. And then he jumps on the defensive side and he comes off the edge, catches a ball out of the backfield. I mean, he is, we're going to do a lot with our tailbacks. So he's another kid that is a Swiss Army knife of offensive players. And that, I stole that from, who gave that to me? I stole that term, but I like it.
Yeah, you turn on the film, you see that right there. I mean, just literally jumped over a defender. Now you're not talking about a small guy right here. You're talking about a kid that can bring it a little bit. And for him, he's a high school wrestler. He's a high school hurdler. I mean, how often do you see that combination? Wrestler / hurdler. And he's running over people. Defensive coordinator of the district said he was the toughest running back they faced 2 years running. And so, Coach Skirka, what do you think about our quarterbacks being able to hand the ball off to a guy like that?
It makes our job a lot easier. And you look at this kid and you think game ender, right? When there's 4 minutes on the clock in the fourth quarter, you want a guy like this back there who's going to get you the tough yards and end the thing. So really excited about bringing him in. Like you said, deceptively athletic. He's a big dude, but you saw his hips right there on the earlier clip, getting up and hurdling that guy. So really excited about RJ coming in. Makes my job a little bit easier having a guy like that.
Yeah, he's a finisher, and you love that about him. And another kid, for a long time, he's wanted to be a Lamar Cardinal, and he's made that very clear, and he'll fit in well here in our offense.
No question. Came to Texas a few years back, was over on the West Coast, and said one of his favorite running backs growing up was Rashad Penny. You know him pretty well. Pretty good experience with him in his college career. First-round pick of the Seahawks after a great career at San Diego State. And RJ Carver, if he can come in and run the ball like Rashad a little bit, we'll be loving Saturday afternoons in Beaumont and watching this guy get after it.
Yeah, just watch him plow people. Love that.
Physical.
I mean, he hurdles. You can tell he's a hurdler. I mean, he hurdles a guy and then he runs over a guy.
Does it all, gets in the wildcat, plays defense. Kid just, you can tell he loves football.
And I don't think we had any of his catching, his clips catching the ball.
Got great hands.
I mean, he's really natural.
Absolutely. RJ Carver on his way to Beaumont. Start off with Jacob Bear, talking about interior offensive lineman, 6'4", 315 pounds, out of Grandview, Texas. Coach Morgan, what do you see from what do you see from Jacob?
Well, you look at Jacob, man. He's from a program. They won 2 out of the last 3 state championships. A small town, small program. We love those kids, and he's just a massive guy. He's very strong, and you watch him play. He gets after people. His motor runs very high.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna be a guy up front that really punches some holes in the defense for us. We're gonna turn on some clips. Let Coach Covington, our offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, give you a little more detail about Jacob and the way he plays on the field.
So Jacob's middle name is Violence. He likes to get after everybody. That's the reason he loves playing football, is the contact of the game. And you see the guy and the way he trains in the weight room and just develops himself to be the best player he can on the field. It's a year-round thing for him, and he just loves, when he's not playing, he's watching football, and it shows up in just how the guy plays. And I love that he's been a part of winning tradition there at Grandview, and it's instilled in those guys the toughness level, and it shows up with all the guys on the field. And I think that's a big part of the guys who want to bring into the program, especially at O-line, just because it always going to start up front. But there's not many clips on film where you're going to catch Jacob taking a play off or not trying to finish a defender, just because he loves the contact of the game.
He's also a power lifter. Put up some pretty big numbers in power so far this year.
He's fun to watch. I mean, golly, those first 2 clips got me excited. Just look at that. Look at that finish right there. And the dude knows how to finish. You love not having to coach that, on the offensive line perspective.
Absolutely. Can't wait for Jacob Bear to get to Beaumont, Texas. Next up, talk about Caleb Leonard, 6'4", 310 pounds, out of Pearland, Texas, Shadow Creek High School. Coach Morgan, what do you think he's going to bring to the Cardinals?
You love having a guy so close to campus. His parents are going to be able to come and watch him play. And, a program like Shadow Creek, they've had some good runs in the playoffs, and he's been coached very well. I mean, he's a kid that you really don't have to worry about how hard he's going to play. He's going to come in, being very much a technician at his skill set. And, I mean, he's a pretty quiet kid. You talk to him in person. So you talk O-lineman, man, you want those guys to be as low maintenance as it gets.
Yeah. As a running back coach, you get really excited about seeing a guy like him on film. Coach Covington, what do you see from Caleb?
Caleb's a real smart guy too. Like all these guys we signed this year, very knowledgeable in what they're doing up front. They run gap schemes, zone schemes. You can tell he likes to finish too. That's a big part of it for him as an interior lineman. Really good with his hands. Got kind of a heavy-handed guy. You see when he makes contacts with guys, whether it's second level or at the line of scrimmage, you see their heads jolt back on film pretty consistently, especially that competition they play in that league. And you're going to see pretty high-quality D linemen, high-quality fronts. So he's one of those guys that you feel like can come in physically and be ready to go right away, and from a knowledge standpoint, have a really firm understanding of what's going on up front, just because of how he's been trained. But really I think the sky's the limit for Caleb. Just him given the opportunity to come in and see what he can do right away.
And these interior guys, sometimes they're thankless when they get on the field, but you watch their highlights and really watch them when they're highlighted. They're fun to watch. I mean, just their mentality is exciting. I mean, it gets me pumped. It makes me want to stand up and watch it a little closer.
Yeah, and I think you can see how our recruiting mirrors what we're instilling in our program. These guys are finishers from the snap to the echo of the whistle. These guys are full throttle. That's what you love to see. So, fired up about Caleb. BJ Williams out of Ritter, Louisiana, 6'3", 293-pounder, to Ritter High School. Coach Morgan.
Couple themes with this class. I think you'll find some kids from maybe smaller programs, and we love those kids because a lot of times the smaller programs, they're playing multiple sports. He's probably throws the shot and disc and track, and he might be a center on the basketball team. So you love those small programs. And then another thing, he can get in the car and he's right across the border. And so he's close to home and he's local. And again, you're going to see a big dude that moves people inside. And we're going to be looking for a couple of these guys to come in and give us some depth, in the fall of 21.
We love the fact of where we are. Our location is awesome. We can recruit the whole state of Texas. We got access to Louisiana. We love our Louisiana guys. They're so competitive. They love to get after it. Coach Covington, BJ, what do you think?
Yeah, BJ's a Louisiana animal, man. Like this guy, I tell you what, he's a long, big-bodied player. Really, I think if you watch his film, he's probably pretty raw too, just as far as had to play a couple different spots. He played tackle in high school. He's long enough to do that at the college level, but will end up being a really, really good interior lineman. I think, and just the sky's the limit. Kind of everything Coach Morgan said too. He's one of those guys that's probably played a bunch of different sports, but just a really good athlete with good feet. And you can see that, just talking to him on the phone throughout the process, that he's always wanting to get better, be more knowledgeable from a technique standpoint, from a scheme standpoint, wants to learn new things. And he fits right in here as a blue-collar guy, blue-collar family, just right down the road, right over the border. So really fired up about BJ and what he's going to bring to the group, and just another high-quality individual.
Yeah, you talk to him, and he's just a fun kid to visit with, and comes from a great family. I mean, that's a reoccurring theme with our class. And he can move for a big guy. He can, you see him get off a block and fit up on somebody else. Sky's the limit for this kid.
We're going to pride ourselves on being physical, and this guy defines physical. We're fired up to have BJ Williams join us in the fall. Next up, let's talk about Drew Moss, 6'4", maybe 6'5", 275-pounder out of Richardson, Texas, Richardson High School. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of Drew, Coach Morgan?
Oh, I just the thing that stands out is when they got shut down in COVID, and he's, we don't like our guys being all over Twitter, but he's leading his team in workouts, and you just like the leadership aspect of this kid, and he did it all by himself. He's a pretty self-driven kid, and you turn on the tape, and I think he was probably about 240 pounds last year, and he's playing at 265, 270 as a senior, and that tells you he's dedicated. I mean, he's dedicated to the weight room, and he loves lifting weights, and he loves moving people, and pretty athletic kid overall. Yeah,
when you talk about Richardson High School, they went to the playoffs this year and broke a streak of not going, and his leadership and under Coach Pels in that program really had an incredible year. You just think of when you think of grit, you think of Drew Moss. He played at the 6A level. He played defensive line. He played offensive line. Was all district in both, and just a great kid. Coach Covington, what do you see out of Drew Moss?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was this guy's playing both ways a good chunk of the time, and you're not seeing him take plays off. Plays with really good technique and pad level. He loves the contact aspect of it. I mean, the guy was player of the week on O-line, player of the week on D-line several times throughout the course of the season for his team, for his own squad. Just from, when you talk to this guy on the phone and the things he talks about about loving football and the parts of the contact and the violence, it's just really fun guy to be around and want to coach. And you just know the game's important to him, and his teammates are important to him too. But it's exciting to see what this guy's going to be able to do, going from high school where he's having to play both ways. Now he can focus on one side of the ball in college and just really keep progressing as a tackle and taking it to the next level for him. But I love, again, we keep throwing around blue collar with all these guys at recruiter. That's what he is when it comes down to it. He's going to fight to the finish, and he's going to try to smash people.
Another awesome thing, you talk to the kid, he wants to be a Lamar Cardinal. I mean, he wants to be here. He wanted to be here, and that's a big part of it. We want kids in our program that really, they embrace what we're going to be. We're going to be blue collar. We're going to be hardworking. We're going to be a little bit of a throwback, but, we're going to be a family at the same time.
Absolutely. Drew Moss, work ethic, tenacity. Again, great family. You see a lot of these guys that have very similar qualities coming in. We think these guys are going to be cornerstones for our program for years to come. Fired up about Drew. James Collins, next up, offensive lineman, 6'3", 270 pounds from Mesquite, Texas, from Horn High School. Talking about another guy that's played at a very high level on offense and defense, played all up and down the line, showing his versatility. Coach Morgan, when you see James, what do you think?
You hit the nail on the head. I think it's versatility. You see him playing center. You see him moving out to tackle, and then you see another 6A program in the Metroplex where they've had a lot of success.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a reoccurring theme in this class. Guys that are playing in programs that are used to winning, and they come from a winning culture, and that's what we're going to have, and that's what we're going to build here. So you're excited. You talk with him. He's a fun guy to visit with. I mean, he's got a great personality.
Mm-hmm.
He does incredible in the classroom. He's a 3.5 plus GPA, and I think you can say that about a lot of these kids.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head as well as far as just personality. I mean, he just lights up a room. He's fun to talk to. You get on FaceTime with him. He's always smiling, always happy. And, man, we can't wait for that personality to get into our locker room and for him to be a part of us. Coach Covington, what do you see from him on the field?
Yeah, you see a guy that from junior to senior year made huge strides in just how he played as an O-lineman. He was primarily a D lineman earlier on in his career. He may not be a 6'7" kid, but he's a longer 6'3" guy that could project as an inside guy, could play tackle. You feel really good about his versatility, and just watching this guy run in space. And from game one to the end of the season for these guys, he got better each game. He learned from any mistakes he had. He did a great job finishing blocks, especially down towards in the playoff games. You could tell he just played with like a chip on his shoulder with a lot to prove. And again, it's fun to coach guys that will liven up the room. They'll have a really good personality. They want to be there, excited about getting better. And that's exactly what you get with James, because he's really worked his way into having an opportunity to play college football. And I like that he's a guy that they asked to play O-line, moved him to center, moved back to tackle, very selfless in what they asked him to do, even if he was in an uncomfortable situation, learning how to do it. So I think just James is he's gonna be a year from now just be a completely different player just because of how he's growing up in his process now.
Absolutely.
Probably his best years are ahead of him, and those are going to be the 4 to 5 years he's with us, that's what makes you excited about the kid. I mean, his potential is, again, it's through the roof. It's pretty high.
I think one of the things he told me that stood out was, the kid just loves to practice. He loves putting on the pads, loves putting on the helmet, loves being around his teammates, and loves getting after it. He's a great fit for the Cardinals. We're excited to have James Collins. All right, got Coach Davis, defensive line coach, here with us. All right, let's talk Aiden Bell, Silsbee, Texas, 6'3", 270-pounder, right up the road, Golden Triangle, Beaumont Enterprise, defensive MVP of the year, district MVP of the year. Exciting to have a guy locally. Coach Morgan, what do you think about that?
It's awesome when you talk to Coach Smith up at Silsbee. Man, what an incredible job he's done, over the last few years. Last year, he's Coach of the Year here in the Golden Triangle, and he says, he's one of the best kids I've ever coached.
Mm-hmm.
You certainly listen to that, and you turn on his tape, and you guys are going to see, real quick what kind of motor this kid plays with. He is our kind of guy. Now, how he plays, his motor, he's got family that's been to and graduated from Lamar. I mean, it just lines up. This kid was meant to be here at Lamar University.
Yeah,
absolutely. Personally, for me as a defensive line coach, my favorite part about it is his motor. He's going 110 miles per hour all 4 quarters of the game. And one thing, surprisingly, is a guy his size, you usually don't see such a quick get off. But right there, you see him making a play in the backfield, and he just beats the tackle to the point of attack. And we can do a lot of things with a guy who has that skill set and whatnot.
Absolutely. You talk about Aiden Bell and his family legacy. It's pretty awesome. He can walk through the hallway of this building and he sees his grandfather's name on the wall.
Absolutely.
That's a great legacy to continue. And you go to clinics and you hear coaches talk, and some of them say, I wanted to play like their hair's on fire. And the first time I heard that, I was like, what does that mean? And then you turn on Aiden Bell's film and you know what that means.
Exactly.
He's the definition of it. And mean, he's just fun to watch. He's hard to block with the way we move on defense. I mean, he's going to be a nightmare just moving and guys trying to get hands on him. I mean, he's going to be a good one for the Cardinals.
Another thing is too as well, you can put him inside, you put him outside. He's a threat in the pass rush game as well too. So he's going to be very, very good for us in the future.
Yeah, we're ready for him to make that 30-minute trip down the road.
Absolutely.
And get moved in here in Beaumont here in a few months.
Absolutely.
Next up, on the D-line, Reggie Brooks, big young man, 6'3", 295-pounder out of Wiley, Texas, Wiley East High School. And Coach Morgan, what do you think about Reggie Brooks?
You know, being an offensive guy, I turned on his offensive tape. He looked like an offensive lineman to me. But then, you know, he's a kid that he goes both ways. You know, at a 6A high school, and so you see a kid going both ways at a 6A high school. That's impressive.
That's
awesome. He's got to have a motor, and he's got to have a little bit of, you know, just stamina to play full games going both ways. Very impressive. And to see the speed he plays at, it's good stuff.
For me, whenever you can find a big body that has the ability to redirect like he just did not play right there, you're going to find something good. His senior year, this last game, he played 110 snaps on offense and defense together.
Dang.
You got to be in shape to do that. He's going to be able to play all 4 quarters for us, and he's going to be a pivotal piece for us on the inside part of our defense line. So I'm really excited about Reggie Brooks joining us.
Yeah, taking a guy that goes both ways and then putting him on one side of the ball where he's only playing, 40 to 50 snaps a game. You just think that, this kid, the sky's the limit for just what he can do. And he's doing this playing 110 plays in high school.
Absolutely.
And playing against some pretty decent competition there.
Absolutely. And he does a really good job of using his hands and playing through his hips as well, too. A lot of big guys want to just lean on them. But for him, he does a really good job being explosive and playing through his lower half body, which is great for us.
Yeah, I think you kind of see it as a theme. Even with our bigger guys, they're guys that played on both sides of the ball. What does that mean? Obviously, football is very important to them. You got to be a competitor to play on both sides of the ball. And then their coaches, the way they use them, they're confident in their ability to play like that the whole game. That's awesome.
And one more thing I do want to mention is the fact that he does play basketball as well, too. And he told me back in the day he could dunk. So I'm really excited about that as well, too. Got to get explosive big guys up the middle.
Those hoopsters, man. If they're big guys and they're hoopsters, they probably got pretty good feet.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to getting Reggie in the red and black. All right, next up on the interior, man, some big dudes. VJ Bronson, 6'4", 295 pounds, out of Katy, Texas, Taylor High School. It's going to be tough to run against this guy. What do you think, Coach Morgan?
Oh, man, his head coach, former Lamar Cardinal. And he's got another Lamar Cardinal on his staff. So you call him up, and he was certainly, on our side when we were recruiting VJ. I mean, we kind of told him exactly how we were going to treat kids, what the way we were going to run our program. And the dude is massive, and he can move.
Yes.
And to me, he looks like an SEC D tackle. I mean, he looks like that kind of, and Coach Davis was in the SEC last year, so. Tell us about him, man.
Yeah, I'm really excited about VJ, 6'4", 295. I don't think he scratched the surface of his potential. He has the ability to be stout on the inside against the run plays. And then for a guy his size, he's actually very quick off the ball and can give you something in the pass rush game. Coach Jensen, defensive line coach at Katy Taylor, has done a really good job of developing him. I'm just really excited to get my hands on him and see what we can do and see how he can help this team hopefully win a WAC conference championship moving forward.
Another kid that is from, a Katy Taylor High School. They made a huge run in the playoffs last year and this year. Another run, and he's used to winning. He's used to playing against very good competition.
Absolutely.
Really as good as it gets in the Houston area. So
his junior year, he went to the state semis and had 15 tackles in a game. You know what I mean? If you're an interior defensive lineman having 15 tackles, that's really impressive. You're taking over the game. And you're dominating and whatnot. So I'm really excited about VJ joining this team.
Yeah, you see a bunch of guys that tried to double team this year. They probably should have triple teamed him. He broke through a lot of that.
Yeah.
Man, VJ Bronson going to add another dimension to our defensive line here at Lamar.
Absolutely, I can't wait.
Oh yeah.
in our previous segment, we talked to Coach Covington, our offensive line coach, offensive coordinator, and he mentioned the term Louisianimal. And I think he's got to be careful with that because he's about to go against this next young man in one-on-ones. That may be tough. Braylon Charles from Destrehan, Louisiana, 6'4", 250. Coach Morgan, take it away.
Yeah, you talk about Destrehan High School. I mean, that's one of the real blue bloods of Louisiana high school football, and they've produced so many good football players throughout the years. And many people would recognize the names that come through there. And he spent this last year at Destrehan, and I think what it did is you look at his junior tape, and then you fast forward to his senior tape, and you just see him playing at a different speed. You see him playing with different physicality, and just in 1 year, if he can take that big a leap, man, in the next 4 to 5 years, I mean, let's see where this guy can go now.
Absolutely. I think one of the best things about Braylon is how much he developed his body from his junior year to his senior year, put on a lot of muscle, and didn't lose a step at all. You see right here in this first play, the physicality and the aggressiveness in which he plays with, has the ability to be a force within the run game, and then also shows the ability to get on the edge and attack the quarterback as well too. He can play inside, he can play outside. Again, for us up front, we really want to be multiple and have the ability to be diverse in our skill set, and this is something that this young man is going to bring to this team.
Yeah, I just saw him put his hand down, and you're like, dude, man, he's got some length, and with these DNs, what you're looking for, coaches, you're looking for length, as far as their arm length, so they can hold off an offensive lineman and rush the passer right there. You see it. I mean, the dude's got some twitch and he's got length. He's pretty physical. I mean, what a fun guy to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And the best part about it as well is he's a student athlete, has a very high GPA, wants to come here and be an engineer, so he's going to get it taken care of in the classroom as well too.
Absolutely. As a former high school coach, he reminds me of the guy, Saturday morning, you turn on the film of the next opponent typically, and you just watch one play and you're like, oh my gosh, how are we going to block that guy?
Yeah.
He's that guy. He's a guy that is going to terrorize offensive linemen for the next 4 to 5 years here at Lamar, and man, we're fired up about Braylon.
Yeah, another basketball player as well too. There's a running conversation that when he gets here, we're going to have a one-on-one game and see who can dunk on who first. I might have to play a little dirty as well too, but we'll see who wins that game right now.
I might not get to the rim.
That's awesome. Jamin Jackson, Lindale, Texas, 6'4", 235, fresh off of a state championship game run in Lindale. Man, this kid will fire you up. Coach Morgan, what do you think about Jamin Jackson?
Oh, he's a beast out of Beast, Texas,
That's
man.
right.
Gosh, a team like Lindale, they make it as far as they've ever made it in the history of that program. You got hats off to Coach Cochran for that run, in the Texas State playoffs and with all they've been through. You watch this kid. Man, this guy gets you. I mean, you feed off the last guy got me excited. Now this guy he's so versatile.
Yes.
I mean, he can play in, he can slide out, he can stand up, he can rush the passer, he's twitchy.
Yes.
I mean, he's got length. I mean, just kind of, and he's an awesome kid to boot.
Absolutely.
Kid after kid, you see incredible young men.
Yes.
High men. As far as their character goes.
Yes.
Tell us about him, Coach.
The one thing that I'm going to say about Jamin is when you put on his tape, you're in awe of what he can do as a defense end. But what I was really surprised and happy about is when you see him play offense as a wide receiver, a guy that size being able to run and jump and be agile in the air. That's really, really difficult to find.
All he does is score touchdowns. He catches the ball and he gets up in the end zone.
Listen, I'm just trying to make sure that Coach Antoine doesn't try to steal him over to the offense and have him go run go routes and whatnot.
No doubt.
But yeah, Jamin Jackson, great kid. He's going to be explosive off the edge. I love the physicality that he's going to bring in the run game as well too. He has the ability to do a lot. I'm sure if we needed to, he could drop into coverage as well. He's a superstar in the making for sure.
Absolutely. I guess we can call him Beast Texas to Beaumont, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I just hope that my Texas skills in terms of making brisket matches up to what he's used to from his ways up there out in Lindale. So
yeah,
hopefully we can get it done.
No doubt about it. Jamin Jackson. Can't wait to get him here. Tonga. Lolahea.
Yes.
U.S. Trinity.
Yes.
Defensive end, longer body, 6'5", 240. You watch this guy come off the ball. Wow, Coach Morgan, what you got on Tonga?
When you talk Euless Trinity now, you're talking one of the blue blood football programs in the state of Texas, and they play football the way that some of us feel like it should be played. You know, with you got to wear your knee pads, and you come off the rock and you do inside drill and some of that stuff, and so that gets you excited. You won't have to teach this kid how to be physical.
No.
He'll know that because of the style of football they play, you know, on the offensive side of the ball. And, you know, you look at him and he's into the game in the fourth quarter, and, you know, he's excited for his teammates. He's the type of kid that fits our program.
Absolutely, absolutely. Long, physical, another versatile body as well too. Really love the length that he has. Shows the ability to get to the quarterback. You'll see him batting down balls even if he can't get to the quarterback. He's going to be all over the field making plays for us in the run game, in the pass game. And then again, Coach, you said it, he's a great teammate. And then the effort that he plays with from the beginning of the game to the end of the game does not change. He flies around the field as if his hair is on fire. You got to love to coach a kid like that.
Yeah, you know, I think recruiting-wise, one of the themes that we have is, do they love football?
Absolutely.
I think you turn on the film and you see that first play.
Over and
this
over.
kid is passionate
Yes.
about playing football.
Yes.
He brings a passion to the game. He's going to get after the quarterback. He's going to help us stop the run. There's so many things he can do for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and when his head coach says, man, this kid, we're well ahead in the fourth quarter. He's on the sideline cheering on his teammates. He's not sitting on the bench. He's out there. This guy's going to be a great teammate. And so you love that as much as anything else.
Yep, absolutely. Can't wait to get him down to Beaumont, Texas.
Absolutely. Really excited about it.
All right, let's talk DeMaje Harris. Killeen, Texas, Ellison High School, 6'2", 210-pound running back. Man, this guy excites you when you turn on this film. Typically, when you talk about speed and change of direction and making long runs, maybe it's a smaller back. This guy does that in a big back body. He's gonna be fun to watch. Coach Morgan, what do you say on DeMaje?
You know, we were looking for an every down back, a guy that could tote the rock every down and stay on the field on third down, and that's him. I mean, he's a kid that is a slasher. Yeah, but he's got long speed, and he's going to get in here. He's going to be 205 to 215 pounds, and so he's going to be able to drag people with him, and then he's going to be able to have the ability to take it to the house. And yeah, to me, the thing that stands out, and Coach Jacobs, you recruited him, but I mean, he's a fun kid to talk to. You know?
Oh yeah. And another thing, you know, about DeMaje that was just really evident early on in the process was, you know, he's a young man that has a tremendous edge to him. He is, you know, takes tremendous pride in his performance. I mean, there'd be times that I'd be texting him and he'd be training late into the night, and those are those things that you love to see in a young man we're recruiting.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, again, you see it. It's kind of been a universal theme. A guy that loves to compete, a guy that loves football.
Absolutely.
But you know, at the same time, he's overcome a lot of adversity too in his life, and you like to see that. I mean, the kid's going to have a little edge. He's going to have a little grit to him. You know, everything hasn't been given to him. Everything hasn't gone perfectly for him, and he's fought through it, and that's life. And so he comes in here. You think, you know, this kid, when you come into the fall of 21, he'll be here this summer. If he'll work at it, I mean, he'll have a chance to impact that 2021 Lamar Cardinal football team. And that's exciting. You can't say that about every single kid we recruited, but this kid in the running back position is a spot where a guy can have the chance to play early. Don't you think, Coach Gibson?
Absolutely. As a running back coming in, like you said, if he'll take care of business this spring, which you love the fact that as a senior in high school, he wants to run track. Some of those seniors, they coast to the finish line. He's not going to coast to the finish line. He's going to sprint to the finish line. He told me he's going to end his career in Austin at the state track meet. And so you're really excited about a kid that has that kind of goals, that kind of mentality, military background in his family. So you're really fired up about him. Coach Jacobs did a great job identifying him, finding him as the area recruiter. And Coach Jacobs, with you as the tight ends coach and me as the running backs coach, and us being a physical run team, he's going to make both of us look better.
Absolutely.
the less you can hold a block, the better you're going to be.
Yep.
You know, he's going to be able to hit the hole now.
No question. We got our outside linebacker coach and special teams coordinator with us, Coach Scott Thiessen here. We're going to go back to Beast, Texas one more time.
Yes,
Texarkana,
Let's do it again.
Texas. Texas
Let's
High.
go.
Never gets old. Caleb Arnold, 6'1", 210-pounder, all-district player. You can see him in a couple different roles for us, man. He has a pretty good skill set. Coach Morgan, what do you think about that?
Yeah, Texas High, you know, a program with a storied history. And, you know, I go back, Coach Stanford, I think I've been recruiting his schools. He said, Coach, I've known you for 20 years, so I know exactly,
No doubt.
you know, who you are. You know, when you first came in and started recruiting my high school, I think he was at LD Bell High School in the Metroplex. He said, you know, we didn't have any kids for you at Air Force, but you came in and you sat down and you got to know us a little bit, and you know that meant a lot. And so Coach Stanford's done such a great job at Texas High. They've got a great tradition. They've you know been deep in the playoffs, and you know that they're gonna send us kids that they trust and they believe in. And there's no difference with Caleb here. What do you think about his tape, Coach?
Yeah, he's a heck of an athlete. As you can see, he's lining up here at safety, so he definitely has that cover ability that we're looking for in some of our outside linebackers, with the ability, you know, to play in the run and potentially come off the edge a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, with our defense, we play with really two safeties, but you know, our field outside linebacker is
essentially another safety.
Yeah, he's another safety, and so, you know, when you talk about him, he's another guy. He's rangy, he's long, he's got length. You see him cover a lot of ground, and he's another kid that you know, like this. Watch him go up, and his ball skills for a safety are tremendous.
Yeah.
And so he's rangy, he's lengthy. You know, he'll show some physicality. You know, but really, you know, where we're gonna play him, you know, he's got to be able to read a quarterback, and he's got to be a pretty smart football player.
Yeah, and with his athletic ability, you know, him playing basketball also helps. He's been a pretty good basketball player the last few years for Texas High as well.
It seems like every other kid we talk about, it's like, you know, he plays multiple positions, multiple sports, and you just love those kids, and they come out of really good high schools, and they know how to win. Their off-season program, for the most part, is structured, and so they know how to work, and they love ball, and they just love competing. That's why they play all the sports.
You like a kid that when the season is over, it's not, oh, it's time to take a break. It's no, let's go to the next thing and keep competing and keep being a teammate. And you see that with Caleb. And they were undefeated this year in the regular season, undefeated in district.
Yep.
And you know, the kid knows how to win. He knows it's not just magic. He knows the formula. It's work every day. It's bring it every day and emptying the tank. We talk about that a lot around here. They don't do that at Texas High. Let's do this.
Yep.
All right, back to the great state of Louisiana. We have a number of guys coming in from Louisiana.
Yeah.
And here's another one. You as a special teams coordinator, done a great job getting some guys that can really boom it. We have a senior all-conference kicker, and he'll move on and have a great life. And we're looking for good things for him this year. But after that, we don't have much after that. So we had to go get some kickers. And Alex Auer, 6 foot, 170 pounds out of Shreveport, Louisiana. Coach Morgan, what do you see from Alex?
You know, Alex, what you see in him is, and what we wanted in our kickers, is the ability to be able to punt and to kick.
Yep.
And so you've got to back up on either side of the ball. And, you know, you talk to him on the phone, he's a pretty unique personality in the fact that, you know, I think he wants to be an astronomy major. You don't meet those kind of kids often, so that's attractive. The kid really values his education. He was a 4-point plus, and so, you know, he had a great high school career, an all-state player, you know, there in Shreveport, Louisiana, and another place that is really, an extension of East Texas.
Right.
And they play some good high school football there.
Right, and as you mentioned, Coach, he's a kind of a combo kicker, has the ability to do both punt and place kick as well. His specialty is probably more in the punting game. Really has the ability to flip a field. As you see here, kind of pin him inside the 15. Had a number of those where he's down in the ball inside the 15, inside the 20, and that could be a very big tool for us as we get going with our special teams.
Yeah, averaged over 40 yards a kick for a high school punter. That is, you don't see that very often. You look up some leaderboards, and it's usually 36, 37 yards is a guy that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And he put 40 yards a kick on the board. And again, that, like you said, that can be a game changer.
Yeah, and his ability, and he went through the camp circuit this last summer, and you really see him trying to perfect his craft.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that is going to be getting some work in, whether it's in place kicking, whether it's punting, kickoffs here. You see him putting it in the end zone. So he wants to be really good at what he does, and you see that evident with some of the work that he puts in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things we've done right here is we emphasize special teams. Special teams is important. It can be game-changing. There are game-changing plays throughout a game. And so we're excited to be able to bring in a couple really good kickers on special teams.
And a lot of times these guys are thankless, I mean, you don't, in the recruiting process, sometimes teams wait till the end of the recruiting. With us, I mean, for us, it was a priority for Coach Gibson and myself to let's make sure we have a really good punter. Let's make sure we have a really good kicker, and the future is bright, because those guys can really change the game. I mean, if you're missing field goals and extra points and you're struggling in the kicking game, now it changes your strategy on offense and defense and the rest of the game.
Yep, absolutely. Coach Thiessen, let's talk about Colby Sessoms out of Hazlet, Texas, Eaton High School, 6'1", 180-pound kicker. And again, I brought this up with another young man. You don't have to be a math genius to get his percentage of kicks right.
No, not at all.
So with Colby, a very highly rated kicker, the ball just explodes off his foot in the video. Coach Morgan, overall, what's your view on Colby?
Well, I mean, you hear when we're recruiting Colby and we're talking about kickers, you hear about him being, a nominee for the Presidential Scholarship, which is our highest scholarship of the university. So first and foremost, I mean, the kid's got a 4.5 GPA, is through the roof. And so, he's a smart kid. And then you talk about 10 for 10, 41 for 41 on PATs. So what that tells me is the kid's pretty dialed in, and he's almost 40 yards a punt. And so, he, as far as, sometimes PATs, you'll miss a couple just because the kid's not focused, but this kid's dialed in now.
Yeah, he's locked in, and part of those, his field goal percentage, that includes 2 50-yard field goals, Coach.
Yeah.
And so he's got a dynamic leg, a big leg. As you see here, he's going to be putting this ball deep into the end zone with the ability to have a lot of touchbacks, that helps out our defense. So he's got a very bright future, I think, and has the ability to really change the game and come in some of those clutch moments at the end of a half or at the end of a game.
He made that 50-yarder by at least 8 to 10 yards right there. That just gives you, as an offense, when you cross the 50, to be able to put it down on the dirt and to knock it through and to have that reliability, that adds a ton to your offense. And just again, as fans, you don't think of kickers, but this guy, he's going to step in, and you hope he's going to transition from high school to college and be just as reliable as he was in high school. And you knock it out of the end zone, and that an offense having to start from the 25 every series, that makes it tough.
Yeah, and he recently played in the blue-gray All-American game, hit a 45-yard field goal in that game. Yeah. He's a standout striker for their soccer team. So there's another example of a guy playing different sports and just being able to excel in those different realms.
Very excited about Colby. He's going to come in and he's going to be a game changer for us, and we look forward to getting him on the field and showing Beaumont, Texas, what he can do with his leg, punch, field goals, kickoffs. He can do it all.
Yeah, and he'll have a fun guy to kind of mentor him, in Bailey.
Yeah.
Just being under him for a fall season, I think it's always that'll be just a great option to show him, work ethic and that sort of thing, and he'll be up to the task.
Absolutely.